Another interesting project in the mail the other day. The NES Super 8 board. I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but basically a guy put the NES on a different board. It still uses the regular CPU and PPU, but it can use an RGPPU, which is what's actually in here now. And you have a top loader style cartridge connector. I really haven't followed this very much because it's really just a redesign of the motherboard and the case. I haven't got the case yet. The owner of this board is sending me the case. I don't really remember the model or the manufacturer of the case. It seems like it's a Polycase AG85 or something like that. But he sent it to me to finish. And basically what I need to do, he also sent me a chunk of an original NES motherboard. I need to pull the CPU and to put it into the Super 8. And I also need to add power, which he sent this little board. And it looks like it's a switching converter. I was able to pull the data sheet for the main chip on there, and it's actually an adjustable switching converter, but I think it's set for 5 volts out already. And that will go on the right side over here. Looks like it was supposed to maybe have some kind of 7805, but apparently it's been revised and the parts were not added. Looks like there's maybe a few components that were not placed. It looks like there's 4 diode arrays over here that were not installed. It looks like maybe controller wiring protection, and of course some of the power, but this is a version 1, and I believe he's either on version 1.1 or maybe higher, but this will still work. So I'm going to get started on pulling the parts. I'm going to go ahead and pull all the hard to find chips, the CPU, PPU, and both SRAMs. The rest of the stuff you can get a hold of, the 373, 139s, the 368, you can still get a hold of those. I might pull the trim cap and maybe the crystal, but other than that, there's just not much left on this board that is worth saving. And he also sent some controller ports from front loader. I'm not real sure how they adapt onto the Super 8. The pins are way different. There's a couple sockets here. I even have a couple header pins that go down into the sockets, but I guess I'm just going to have to cut the connectors off of front loader controller port leads and solder directly to the headers. That's okay, that'll work. Looks like I have RGB and sync output header socket up front, as well as possibly stereo audio output. There's a reset and tactile switch right there, and I'm not sure what the potentiometers do. Maybe that has something to do with stereo. Looks like there's another one. There's a power LED already installed also. There's another potentiometer right there. But we'll get started on it and see if we can get it going. Okay, I'm ready for some initial testing. I've got the CPU in, and I've wired up the I guess you'd call it an external switching converter. I have a 5.5 by 2.5 DC jack, and I'm feeding it 9 volt DC, positive tip, Let's see, what else? I'm outputting RGB and sync along with ground to multi-out connector, which leads off to my SCART, and then my SCART to computer input for the Sony PVM. And I'll move the camera down here a little bit. Okay. Plug in the game, plug in power, and look at that. I don't have any audio hooked up as to what that buzz was. I know the video seems to be doing weird stuff on the camera, but it's not doing anything on the TV. It's pretty accurate. It's kind of bright. But yeah, he does have 75 ohms on the output, so that's good. I think we're in business. That's a really bright white LED on there. Probably end up moving that whenever I get the case. And of course I'll have a switch in line with the DC input before the external DC to DC converter. Some things I don't know what this trim cap does. I'll play with that real quick here for a second. I wonder if it does anything with video. Well, I don't see any difference. Reset works. It looks like. Yeah, maybe my cart's a little bit dirty probably. I don't know what that trim cap does. I guess it might be part of the clock circuit. The crystal is right next to it. And I still don't know what. I think these trim cap or these potentiometers are audio volume, but I don't know what that cap up there does yet. I have to read through the thread. I don't know if I mentioned the threads, but there's a thread on Nintendo Age and one on Atari Age about this project. Whew. That CPU is really hot. Probably not a good thing. But it does seem to be working, so we'll wait for the case to show up and then add the controller ports, power switch, mount the DC input jack, and might be pretty close to done. So we'll save all that stuff for part 2.